swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
You are listening to the Fly the W podcast. We are part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave those 5-star reviews. You can email me at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch on Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. Joining me tonight, we had him on the other week. We had such a good conversation talking World Baseball Classic. We invited him back from Baseball Prospectus, Bradley Woodrum. And Bradley, we were talking before we jumped on here, and I was like, we got to say it for the show, man. This World Baseball Classic, when you think about, what was it, 2006 was the first one, right around there?
Yeah.
And where it's gotten to now. I mean, the ratings right now look like it's through the roof.
Yeah, it's exceptionally exciting. And it's obviously been big overseas for a long time, but we're really seeing the American audience take to it. It's fantastic. And they have every right to, because it's been drama. It's been drama on the field and off the field, especially during pool play. So I'm excited. The quarterfinals, it's going to be just unpredictable wildness moving forward, and I'm very excited.
Now, when we take a look here, we were talking about pool play last time, and I think that, when you look at it, you had Puerto Rico, Canada, Cuba, Colombia, Panama. Any surprises from Pool A for you that really kind of took you by surprise?
Honestly, Cuba was working with a really limited roster. Them getting 2 wins out of pool play was credit to them. Colombia was probably better than it looked on paper. But at the end of the day, the teams you'd expect to see make it out of this pool definitely did. Puerto Rico is not at full strength. Normally they would have a much better roster, but because of insurance reasons, they're lighter than they normally would be. They're still a very formidable team. And moving forward now, we're going to see really any team can win moving forward, because it's just single elimination games, and the pitch limitation restrictions are going to be so much lighter that now it's not going to matter that the back end of your bullpen is really, really weak, peppered with minor league free agent type players. You're going to start to see your starter matters a ton, your lineup matters a ton, and both Canada and Puerto Rico are going to be bringing major league quality players in every game they play.
And when I look at Canada, I mean, the one thing that, makes Cubs fans nervous, I mean, we still talk about Lou Brock, but watching what Owen Casey, I remember Owen Casey breaking out for Canada the last time the World Baseball Classic was in, and now he looks like he's ready to play.
I would say the caveat that Cubs fans maybe take comfort in is that Owen Casey has been crushing minor league pitching for a long time. This is nothing new. The concern with him is, will he be able to make contact consistently against major league quality pitching? And that is not something that a single tournament like this is going to be able to dictate. As well as over the course of a long season, he's going to face a lot more velocity than he will in this short tournament at the beginning of the year too. But yeah, he has looked exceptional. That lineup looks a little scary. And so again, we are down to, there are no gimme games anymore. The Czechia team, battled really hard. They looked great at times. And like so many of these other teams, some of the teams that have been eliminated, the back ends of their bullpens were not major league quality. Some of them weren't even minor league quality. And so we're now in a phase where we're going to see good pitching through most of the game. I think there's very few teams left that are going to be putting somebody up there that's going to just get absolutely walloped every time they throw a pitch. So I think we're now getting to the phase where anything can happen. Baseball in a single game can be very random. And so that's what makes it fun. That's what makes a tournament like this so exceptionally unpredictable. But as the talent gap narrows, the drama increases.
We'll go into Pool C because we have a lot of drama. This one, I think, was, I know Japan, obviously, as expected, just absolutely, dominated the field. But boy, you went into this whole, we know from Team USA, this whole idea of the 3-way tie and the run differential and all this stuff. Yeah. You got it right here in Team C, in Pool C. And it was a pretty impressive. To me, Australia was really kind of the surprise on this one.
Yeah, I had expected to see some good stuff from Chinese Taipei, and they had a few really blowout kind of games there. And Australia, though, really looked like contenders. And frankly, at this point, it feels like they could have been the better team of those three that probably should have earned a chance to move on through. But credit to Korea for keeping the runs down. The run differential didn't matter as much as just preventing runs from scoring. And so Korea ends up getting through on that tiebreaker. But yeah, what a competitive group that was. I do think it speaks to maybe the talent gap that Japan has from these other teams, that it is undefeated in what was an otherwise pretty rough brawling division there. So I do think Japan is still a team to beat in this tournament. But again, in a single game sample, I wouldn't put past Korea or any other team to be able to actually one up Japan or any other team that they're going to be facing.
Pool D. And we all know what we were waiting for on Pool D. We were waiting for that Dominican Venezuelan match, and it did not disappoint. I mean, two powerhouses right here.
Oh my gosh, two powerhouses in a packed Lone Depot Park down in Miami. That was exactly what we were hoping to see. And honestly, everywhere they go or every game they play from here forth is going to be in that stadium. It's going to be in front of a big friendly crowd. It's going to be fun to watch no matter what. Win or lose, that's going to be a rocking joint. And so I think they're going to be, they're also just two very good teams. I think Venezuela's pitching doesn't hold up to what the DR is bringing to the table. Both have really exceptional lineups. But again, in a single game, you get that one pitcher who has a great game, and it doesn't matter how good your bullpen is. Doesn't matter how good their lineup is. If he's throwing strikes, it's really hard. The sport's designed to kind of cater to a pitcher who's on their game. So if any one of these teams has a pitcher who just has a good game, it could really balance the scales in a whole new way.
And now let's go to the stunner of stunners right here. Pool B, Houston, the quote dream team, does not finish in first place. Team Italia gets in first place. I mean, I did not. So it's funny because the Cubs played Italy a week ago, and I'm like, oh man, they lost to the Italians. What the heck? And now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, honestly, that's what's crazy to me is that Great Britain also had some major league quality players, major league quality pitching. They performed kind of like you typically see those sort of quasi foreign teams playing that have a lot of American players, but are also like connected heritage wise to these other countries. That's what Italy has been historically in this tournament. And they came out and they have looked exceptional offensively. They've had some excellent pitching performances. I think this might be the best pitching staff they've put together for this tournament, but it still is the Team Italy tournament team is not what you would call like major league top end pitching from top to bottom in that roster. And so them being undefeated, the three undefeated teams in this tournament, I would have guessed 100% is going to be the USA, Japan, and the DR. But if you had told me 3 weeks ago that Italy was going to be that third undefeated team, I would have my jaw would have hit the floor. It's just completely unexpected. It's been absolute drama. And then the drama surrounding that obviously is the Team USA manager, Mark DeRosa, former Cub, may or may not have had a full grasp of what the tiebreaker situation was. There's controversy over that. He was on an interview before the game saying that we have the game locked in. And so, we were out partying and everybody's kind of dragging a little bit. But that's a very concerning thing to admit. And then he's come back recently and said that was not the case. They did know the situation. But if they did know the situation, then them choosing to play like Paul Goldschmidt over Bryce Harper, it'd be easy to put that under a microscope and wonder what was the calculus there. I know that these national teams don't typically deploy like a analytics department or a full suite of front office type personnel. And so it's harder to always have a full grasp of the information, whether it be in your tiebreakers or maybe like a lineup matchup model to tell you who is a good player to play and who's a good player to rest on this given day. But the management of that game leaves a lot to be desired for Team USA fans. But in terms of people who are just in it for the drama, they couldn't have asked for any more. Them falling to Italy was absolutely unexpected and full of story.
Now, you mentioned Mark DeRosa, and Adam Wainwright went out to defend his former USA manager right there, and kind of felt that, it's not as much an issue of not understanding, but misspeaking. But what he was saying was more the idea of you have all these teams calling, saying like, okay, with my player do this, with my player do that. Yes. How much of that do you think might have played a part in that?
It is very difficult. The roster situation is basically a giant Sudoku puzzle. So there is a big piece of that where you can't invite. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt is an A-list Major League Baseball player. You can't invite him on the team and then let him ride the pine the entire time. This was their last chance to really exert pressure on whether or not they're going to advance. They were 3-0. The odds of Mexico creating a situation where they wouldn't advance, was unlikely maybe going into that game. And maybe they were hoping that their pitching would just be overwhelming, but they were facing a legit major leaguer on the other side of the mound. And so I do think at the end of the day, going pedal to the metal made a lot of sense in that scenario. But also I get that, like, if you don't play Paul Goldschmidt in game 4 there, when you're up 3-0 in the pool play, when do you play Paul Goldschmidt? Because he's not been like an exceptional offensive player these past few seasons, especially against right-handed pitching. So facing a lefty would have been ideal, but they just haven't faced the lefty in a convenient time. And so swapping Paul Goldschmidt with Bryce Harper any day is going to be a tough option. And if you wanted Paul Goldschmidt on the team and if he wanted to be there, then it's hard to say no to that. But at the same time, I can't deny the fact that Mark DeRosa's own words really did convince me that he was of the opinion they were through already. And the management of the whole situation, whether it was warming up Clayton Kershaw instead of Mason Miller initially, or whether it was the actual players and when he pinch hit, did suggest to me that he thought there was nothing major at stake in that game. But they really needed to prevent runs. If not win the game, they needed to at least keep the score as low as possible so that they could ensure they would move through. Granted, Team Italy has made it all moot at this point. And so the one big difference is they're going to face tougher competition in the next round. But I think at the end of the day, this is still a very stacked Major League team that the Team USA is sending out there. And so I think they're going to be a favorite in any game they play moving forward. And it actually kind of reminds me of, what was it, the 1985 Bears that lost a game to the New England Patriots right before the playoffs, and it kind of reset
the Dolphins,
Was
Miami Dolphins.
it the Dolphins? Yeah.
Yep.
And so that having that recalibration of expectation and a reminder of, this is baseball, this is random. You can have a backup catcher go off for 2 home runs and totally change the game. That's the way this sport works. It's very small samples in a single game. And so being aware and being high effort and maybe not coming to the ballpark after a night of partying, probably a wise idea moving forward for them.
And he did also mention, hey, the guys that replaced, some of the guys sitting did a good job. PCA, who
Yes.
Cub fans love. I mean, 2 home runs almost carried him on that one right there.
Yes.
Gunnar Henderson. I mean, these weren't bad players. And the point that Wainwright made is that they hit. Is that the problem was they gave up 8 runs.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's the truth, is that at the end of the day, the USA bench is an embarrassment of riches. And even the USA pitching is really, really good. There was a little bit of little league throwing the ball around, and that didn't help prevent runs. But at the end of the day, they weren't throwing enough strikes. They weren't dominating the strike zone with good stuff like they normally would. And when you're facing a lineup like Italy has a major league quality lineup, maybe not like an all-star quality lineup, but it's a very good lineup. And there's some legit White Sox players on that team, frankly, that are very scary. Although Kyle Teel, I'm assuming, is out for the rest of the tournament. But it is a team that actually can hit and can score runs, and so will be pesky for anyone else they face throughout the rest of this tournament.
I will have to say, though, I think that shot of espresso is like a PED or something.
I do wonder about that.
Now, here we go. Here we got the quarterfinal brackets that we're taking a look at. And, looking at these, I mean, they're all going to be exciting games. It starts tomorrow when this podcast released, it'll be on that Friday. But Friday, March 13th, I mean, you got Korea versus the Dominican Republic. I mean, I'm sure when you take a look at that one right there, you're not really, I know it's random in one game and all that stuff, but boy, that would be an upset of all upsets if Korea could pull this off. It
sure would. Korea's pitching at the professional level, the KBO, the average fastball velocity is like 89, 90. It's not a league that is dealing with an enormous amount of massive velocity, big breaking ball field pitching. Doesn't feel like the kind of lineup or the kind of pitching roster you're going to see dominate the Dominican Republic lineup. Their lineup is stacked. It is a gold star major league caliber lineup. So I would be very shocked if Korea knocked them out. Korea has done that before, though. Korea's won this whole thing. And at no point has Korea ever had the corner on baseball talent, but they have won this tournament. And that goes to show this tournament, especially when you get to these single elimination game stage, can get really wild.
And Dominican and Korea have never faced each other in the WBC, so that ought to make it interesting. Well, speaking of interesting and speaking of drama, with everything going on geopolitically between USA and Canada, that's the other game at 7 p.m. Central at Houston and in Houston. And when I take a look at that, like I said, everything going on geopolitically, everything that went on with the hockey game, and now they're going to be facing each other in Houston. And what I think about is, the United States beat Canada in their game at the Olympics, right?
Mhm.
What better payback than for Canada to beat USA in their national pastime?
Yes, I think that is going to be top among the minds of the Canadian baseball players. I would not be surprised if Team USA is well aware of the energy they're going to be bringing into this stadium and the sort of chip on USA's shoulder that they're going to be bringing in, having just come off of a loss. But I think this is going to be a very raucous game. At the end of the day, I do think there's been some controversy over Crawly and Randy Arozarena and the way they've interfaced with each other. But for the most part, a lot of these players are friends, colleagues, former colleagues with each other. They do know each other pretty well. There are very few, my time working in baseball, there were very few real, like, genuine bad blood type relationships going on. A lot of these guys have grinded through the minors together for so many years. They've earned this top spot, and they tend to have pretty positive, congenial relationships with each other. So I hope the players keep it frosty, but it could be very well an exciting atmosphere for a lot of different reasons, for sure.
And then on Saturday at 2 p.m. Central, everybody's favorite, Team Italy versus Puerto Rico. Again, I'm just kind of, now I feel like I'm a little bit nervous to bet against Team Italy.
Yeah, again, this is not the strongest team Puerto Rico we've seen in this tournament. I would not be surprised if Italy really, put it to them a little bit, because they've got some major league frontline starting. They're going to be leaning a lot less on the back end of that bullpen, which is really a little bit iffy. And that lineup, again, like we saw Vinny Pasquantino and some of these other hitters, they're genuinely major league quality hitters. They're all-star caliber players. And so in any given day, they can go nuts. That said, if you get a pitcher who's just on it that day, and Puerto Rico does have some good pitching up front, and they could do even a bullpen game potentially with some of their closer quality pitchers as well. So anything can happen. I do think this one is a tall order for the Puerto Rican team at this point, just because it feels like momentum and the offense is clicking with Team Italy right now.
And then to close out Saturday night, you have Venezuela versus Team Japan, 8 p.m. Central Time. That's what you and I talked about when it came to the Dominican versus Venezuela. You lose that one, you get Samurai Japan, and not again, like we've talked about, Venezuela has a lot of major league talent. You never know.
Yes, and I think that is a matchup you want to put a star on, because you could be looking at potentially the tournament winner in that game, just at least on pure talent. Team Japan and the amount of effort they put into everything for these tournaments, they genuinely come to win every time, and that's why they are the big dog in this tournament. They are the one who keeps capturing that crown. And so I think if Venezuela can knock them off, it totally reshapes the rest of this tournament for everybody else. It also is a huge star for Venezuela, who also has their own geopolitical drama going on as well. So I could see this very much becoming a scenario where the winner of this game could potentially dictate where the rest of this tournament goes. We know that Venezuela is really close in talent to the Dominican Republic, and we know the Dominican Republic is one of the best teams in this tournament too. So it's just going to be real bare knuckle brawling from here forth.
So, all right, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Let's take a look here. We got the brackets right here. Let's start with the quarterfinal number 1. You got Korea, and they are going to be going up against the Dominican Republic. I think I know your answer to that one, correct?
You got to say the DR is this is the closest to a mismatch in talent we have left in the pool. But, I would say 60% chance that Dominican Republic wins this, which is the strongest I would be on any of this, because, even your best teams in Major League Baseball, when they win 60% of their games, they're threatening record-breaking seasons. So I would say, yeah, DR probably the favorite to win that one for sure.
Now, I am not going to say any favorites on this one. USA, Canada, what are you feeling on that one?
Boy, I was just looking at the Canada pitching staff again. I just don't know how they turn that lineup over 3 times and keep it under 5-6 runs from Team USA's lineup. It's a really destructive lineup. Whoever you've got at first base, whoever you've got in the outfield, it's just a really tough lineup to get through. I think Team USA wins this one as well.
Now, just from a Cubs fan perspective, do you start PCA after, not only did he hit 2 home runs, it looked like there was another one that, he hit right into dead center at Houston at like 407 feet. Like, do you, as a manager of Mark DeRosa, do you say, maybe this kid's in a zone right now, let's see what we got?
I think just, normally as an analyst and as a former club analyst, I always am very careful about hot streaks or anything like that. That said, PCA is a notoriously streaky player, and if he is on it, then I would want to harness that. I don't care if I had to play him in left field. Honestly, it would just be death to fly balls if you have both him and Byron Buxton out there. But getting him in the lineup, I think, seems pretty smart at this point.
And just for a little bit of extra intrigue, if Dominican advances like you think they are, and if the U.S. advances like you think they are, then Paul Skeens would be going up against that Dominican lineup.
That is going to be a heck of a game if it does come to pass. It will be really something. I do wonder at what point do teams like the Dominican, who can foul balls off, who can work counts, maybe just say, let's just try to get him out by the fourth inning and force them to play by the tournament pitch count rules and work around that. It's not as easy. But with some of these other teams, if you're able to get that starter out really early, you're going to get some easy bullpens late in the game. We've seen that in a lot of these pool play games where the score was really close, and then 7th, 8th, 9th inning, it really got out of control. And that's what keeps happening, is that they're throwing their best pitching at it early on in the game, and then they start to really have a precipitous drop-off in talent when they get to the back end of their rosters. If you can do that with Team USA, you're not going to get a precipitous drop-off, but you're going to face a lot better opportunities to score if you can get Skeens out in the 3rd or 4th inning. So that could be a real, absolute, massive game if it does come to pass.
Puerto Rico, Italy, the darlings, the Italians. Andrea Botticelli. Who do you got on Puerto Rico, Italy?
Boy, that is honestly, it shouldn't be as tough as it is. I would take Italy, but like a 52% chance that they win that. Just, barely higher odds than Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is still a really, really good team. And Italy, while being undefeated, was starting to give up quite a bit of runs near the end of some of those games. So I do think that, when they're able to lean into some of their better pitching early on in the games, it's going to go better for them. But if they have to start dipping into some of those back end names, it's going to get really rough, and it could get out of control quick.
And then we have Venezuela and Japan, which I think is going to be another tough one.
That to me is like a 50-50. And again, the winner there, it starts to look a lot like a favorite. And so to me, I would say Japan probably wins that one, but it's so hard to say because they're just two exceptionally talented teams. I do think that the Japanese lineup maybe isn't as good as the Venezuelan lineup. And so I don't know, maybe there's also a component of jet lag potential that there could be impacting Team Japan, because they will be coming from Japan all the way out to Houston for that game. So, or is that one in Miami? I
want to say it's in Miami.
Okay. Well, either way, it's going to be a meaningful travel there that's going to be in Miami. So
Miami,
Japan is going to be, they're certainly there already, but it's hard to discount the amount of value that good sleep, good rest, and not being jet lagged is for a professional baseball player, especially when you're talking about a single game where you got to just be on time. You got to be ready for it. So I don't know, that could be a really tough one for Japan, honestly.
All right. Well, Bradley, tell our listeners where they can find all your work, because I'm sure after all this great WBC talk, people are going to want to follow what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can find my writing at baseballprospectus.com. You can also find me online. I'm on Blue Sky at bradleywoodrum.com.
Sounds great, Bradley. And thanks for joining us. And let's get ready for a fun weekend of baseball.
All right. Looking forward to it.
It's all over.